moment you started your period, you have to know it. If you start your period today, you have to mark it today that today on the 4th of September, I started menstruating. And then you mark the day you're going to start another one. Okay, so you have to know your period in and out. You have to know your body mechanism very well. Okay, so that's where it starts from. Then usually the first day you start menstruating is your day one. If you start menstruating today, you count today. Today is your day one menstruation. Alright, then the typical menstruation, the typical menstrual cycle is 28 days. How do we calculate these 28 days? If you started menstruating today on the 4th of September, you start menstruating. It will take you 28 days starting from today to start menstruating again. That's for your second menstruation, next menstruation. You count it from today, day 1 to or until you get 28 days, then you start another menstruation. That means you have a 28 days cycle. Okay? Well, a lot of women may not have 28 days cycle. There are some variations, of course. And if your period, if you're menstruating, if you have between 21 days to 35 days, it's nothing to worry about. So you won't say, it's not 28 days cycle, so there's something wrong with me. No. They have between 21 days to 35. But if it's above 35 or it's below 21 days, not that you need to look for a doctor, you need to seek medical advice. Some people will tell you that you menstruate twice a month. It's possible you can menstruate twice a month. Like today being 4th. Today being 4th, if I'm having 21 days cycle, obviously it will get 21 days before the month runs out. But it's still normal. Okay, so you don't calculate your cycle by month. I've menstruated for September. Now it's October. No, because you can menstruate twice in September. Alright, so, and also there's a month that can pass without you menstruating. If you're menstruating, remember I said, it should not be more than 35 days. And some months are 30 days. Some months are, like February is 28 days. So one can pass February without menstruating, and it's still normal. Someone that have 30 days cycle can pass February without menstruating. Someone that have 32 days can pass September without menstruating. September is 30 days a month. Okay, so that's alright, so in this, the one we are using, the 28 days cycle that we are using as an example, it's expected that on the 14th day, the woman will start ovulating. And what is ovulation? Ovulation is the period where the egg matures and ruptures and is ready to be fertilized for pregnancy. In God's plan and calendar, the essence of cycle is for the woman to conceive, because all the process is geared towards conception. But in a situation where there's no stem cell to fertilize the egg after ovulation, then the other aspect of the cycle comes in. The woman has to menstruate and all that. So, in ovulation, you are ready to conceive. You are ready as a woman to meet a man, the stem cell to fertilize your egg and you conceive. But I thought, of course, it's not always what happens. Okay, so it's important to know that knowing your cycle length, the way I explained it, knowing that your period starts on so day, you track it. I have 28-day cycle, I have 24-day cycle, I have 30-day cycle, and all that. It's not enough to do family planning, but it's a key factor. There are other things you have to put in place. And it's also important to know that if you have variations in your period, the chances of your ovulation vary is wide. If this month you have 28-day cycle, and next month, if you have 28-day cycle next month, it's likely you will ovulate on the 14th day. But if next month you have, let's say you have 30-day cycle, which is still normal, because there could be some variation. If it's 30 days that you have next month, the chances of you ovulating on the 14th day is very slim. In fact, you will not ovulate on the 14th day. It will be wide, it will be longer. But if by next month your cycle is now 26 days, it will be shortened. Your ovulation will be shortened. Okay, so these are the things that you need to consider. And now for someone that your cycle, we've been talking about an 8-day cycle, an 8-day cycle, and ovulating, having a period of fertility period of around 14 days. 14 days. Now, for you that your cycle is not 28 days, maybe it's short or it's longer than 28 days, there are things you can calculate. But it means that you have to check your cycle. You have to, track your cycle for a couple of months. 8 months. You have to track, calculate, time your cycle. I think this month you get 6 days. Next month you get 30 days. You have to keep calculating, keeping records of your cycle for 8 months. 8 to 12 months, 12 months a year. So if you calculate it like that, the shortest one, the one that has smallest days, like if you have the one that has, let's say you have 27 days, and then it's the shortest one, and then the longest one is maybe 32 days. Okay, so from the shortest one, the one that has the fewer days, you subtract 18. From the one that has shortest day, you subtract 18 days. If we are using 27 days, for example, 27 days cycle, for example, you subtract 18 from 27 days. I think if we're having like 9 days, yes, 9 days, then if you now go to the one that has longest day, maybe, let's say it's 30, like one is 32. If it's 32, you subtract 11 from 32, you'll be having like 20 something. You have like 21 days. So your fertility window, the time that is likely for you to ovulate, is between the 9th day to that 21 days. You see that it's very well. Very well. And that's why you should not use calendar days. There are still other things that you monitor on your body system that may get to that. Ovulation is not a full day thing. Ovulation is just an incident, a minute incident that your ovary ruptures. It's just like rupturing a pure water bag. That's what ovulation is. So it doesn't take a year, it doesn't take a day, it doesn't take 2 days. It takes a moment, just a moment. And that's what we are doing now. And it's very, very unpredictable. All these things we are doing is just your actually. You can't say exactly that. I just ovulated. And it's as simple as I'm holding this back and ovulated. Okay? So that's it. Alright, go to the cervical mucus method. Cervical mucus means the secretions. The secretions that comes out from the cervix, usually going down and pants and all that. Naturally, the cervix and the vagina secrete some things. On a natural note, it shouldn't be much to stain your pants and all that. And anytime you see it much and offensive, then you need to seek a medical care. Alright, so around ovulation, cervix secretion changes. It changes to something stretchy, colorless, and stretchy. You can stretch it. Okay, that's basically what it looks like. Some people may take note of this, to some people you may not notice. And also there are these things that happens around ovulation that you can notice. Some have sharp pain by the side of the egg that is ovulating, either right or left and all that. Some people don't have. That you don't have is not that is abnormal. That you have doesn't make you better than the other person. Okay, so but some people have. And this pain is not pain that will take the whole day. It's just few hours and you are fine again. So it's a pain that is not supposed to stop you from doing your activities and all that. So that's it. That's another method you have to combine. Then another one is body temperature. Basal body temperature is you checking your body temperature. And me and you know that it's very hard to. As women, before you say child, you're out of bed, checking children and all that and all that. So body temperature, the way you're supposed to check it is you're supposed to check it with a thermometer. And it should be done before you step out of the bed. It's hard when your child is shouting, you are there looking for temperature to check. It's very hard. Okay, so it's supposed to be done before you step out of your bed. And you're supposed to do it from the one of your period to the next period. So that when you notice an increase in your temperature, within 0.5 to 1 centimeter, you know that 1 Celsius, you know that your temperature, there's a change that could be that you're ovulating. Of course, there are a lot of things that can change our temperature. Malaria is with us, and only that alone can make your temperature go as high as possible. Alright, so that's it. Other family methods you can combine these ones I'm saying. Knowing your calendar and all that is withdrawal method. What is withdrawal method? Withdrawal method is just a situation where you're having sex with your husband, and the peak of the sex, the man withdraws. This one is very hard and challenging. You know why? If you are a woman that during sexual intercourse, you are the ideal for a woman. We are all married, so I'll say it like this. The ideal for a woman, for any woman that is in a relationship, you are having sex with your husband. Sex is not slavery. It's not just for the man to ejaculate and enjoy himself. Sex is meant for you and your husband to enjoy. It's a good thing in marriage. So, and in the midst of that enjoyment, to withdraw, when you withdraw to release outside, it's at the peak where it's so exciting. The man is enjoying it and the woman is enjoying it. And the discipline to withdraw the penis and ejaculate outside need to come from God knows where. So it's hard, it's really hard to achieve. But that's what it is if you want to. And also it's important to know that in having sex, there are some pre-ejaculation secretions. I don't know how to say it that we understand. There are things that comes out from penis that is not really ejaculation. The man is not releasing yet, but things are coming out. Those ones can also carry sperm cells that can get a woman pregnant. You see the danger of it. So you could abruptly terminate your enjoyment, but at the end, the sperm cell had already gone in through those pre-ejaculation secretions into the body and do all the magic and all that. So it's still very, somehow the effectiveness is not there. Alright. Then we have lactational method. In this lactational method, it is for a woman that is breastfeeding. It's for a woman that is breastfeeding, and usually between, it's not just that you are breastfeeding, your baby is 1 year old and you still think that I'm being particular with my breastfeeding in my life. The breastfeeding will only cover you between the day you gave birth and 6 months. So it's within the first 6 months of your childbirth that it can cover you. And it has to be that you are doing exclusive breastfeeding. I hope we know what exclusive breastfeeding is. Exclusive breastfeeding means that you're not giving anything, including water, to your baby. That's when this can work effectively for you. You are not giving anything. You are not giving water, you are giving nothing. Your baby only knows breast milk. And so you give to the baby at demand. Anytime the baby is crying, you are giving breast milk. And then you are not menstruating. There are people that as soon as they finish giving birth, next month they are menstruating. It will work for you. There are people that 2 months they are menstruating, it will work for you. Right? And it's not, there's another danger of not menstruating when you are breastfeeding and you are just thinking, this will work out. In fact, I had a family friend that They came to our house and we were just talking, and she's breastfeeding. The baby is like how many months and all that. And she was like, she's not ready for another child. In fact, I said, okay, have you done family planning? She said, no, she has not. I said, okay. She said she's not menstruating at all. I told her, all right. Please, by next, I think it was weekend, I said next Monday, number one, go and check whether you're pregnant, and number two, find a comfortable family plan with your patient. We all laughed over it and all. The next time she called me, she said she's pregnant, and she never menstruated. From the last baby she had, she got pregnant. So, that you're not menstruating doesn't really give the technical cover. Oh, I am free to be going there all and all. It's not. So you still have to be very careful. You have to do exclusive breastfeeding. You don't have to menstruate. And it's just for 6 months. If it goes beyond 6 months, the effectiveness has been watered down. Alright, so that's it really for family planning. How family planning is it very effective, and natural family planning is it very effective? Well, for you to benefit from it at all, you have to know your period very well. You have to know your cycle in and out. If I wake you up from sleep, when you do menstruate class, you just tell me. And you have to time, oh, it's like I'm ovulating, it's like I'm not ovulating, and all that. You have to know. If you don't know it, start knowing it. If you are not willing to know it, then forget about it. Just hand over your life to God. If you want to be pregnant, you become pregnant, and all that. But it's something that can be done. Yes, it can be done. You can just bring a calendar. Anytime you see your period, you can chat it down. We all have phones, and practically every phone has calendar. I've been chatting with your phone's calendar. Oh, menstruation number 1. Menstruation, you can, any day you start to mark it. The day you're starting is what is very important to us. Okay, in family planning. So you can chat it. You can. It's something you can do. Don't give up. You can do it. Alright, so for the effectiveness, yeah, it's not very effective, and it's been known that 1 out of 4 women that use natural family planning could conceive. Like if you bring 4 people, 4 of them use natural family planning, it's possible it will fail in 1 person. But that doesn't mean that it must fail, but the possibility is there. Alright? Another thing about this natural family planning is that in as much as it's helping you to know when not to be pregnant, it also helps you to know when to be pregnant. You know why? For some people that, for one reason or the other, they are not as fertile as the other. Or some people, maybe your husband is living here and you are living there. That you need to time, it can help you to time when you will be pregnant so that you can arrange to meet with your husband. But though it's not a guarantee, but it helps. Because in this fertility, in this fertile window we are talking about, the 14 days for 28 days cycle, or the other calculation that I gave you, within that period, maybe 2 days to that period, or 2 days after that period, if you engage in sexual intercourse, there's high possibility that the woman will conceive. Okay, then I think they said I should talk something about sex selection. It is really hard to talk about sex selection, but somehow let's touch it. But there's no guarantee in any of this. They are all medical predictions. Alright? Sex selection. There are people that have said it's proven that 1% of every woman can conceive at any time in their cycle. Even when they are menstruating and all that. 1%, just 1%. Imagine 1%. So, but it happens. Just like you can't be pregnant after menopause. But it's been proven that there are women that get pregnant after menopause, naturally. So it's been proven that it's the same. Naturally, I'm not talking about assisted reproduction. Naturally, they conceive even years after the menopause. It happens. And that's why you can't beat God in some things. Alright, so predictions for sex selection. Yes, it's not, it still relies on you knowing your period very well. It's not that stem cells can live for a while, just like egg can live for a while. So a woman can fertilize, can ovulate, and the ovulation, the egg will stay for a while in her body before she is thrown out and all that is destroyed. The same thing when a man meets a woman, it's that cell in that man that goes into the woman can stay with the woman for a couple of hours before it dies off. Okay, now if you want to, I told you it's not a guarantee, don't put me anywhere, but it's possible. If you want to have a girl child, it's known that the X chromosome from the man can last long. The women are more dogged, their chromosomes are more dogged, they are more long lasting than the Y chromosomes. The Y chromosomes dies off easily. So if a woman has ovulated, if the woman had a sex before ovulation, it's possible that the X chromosome of the woman can stay. The X chromosome of the woman usually stays. It's the Y chromosome of the woman. It's possible that the Y chromosome of the man had died if had sex before ovulation. The Y chromosome had died, and so the egg will meet X, and they will give birth to XX, which is a girl. But if the woman had sex, didn't have sex before ovulation, and an ovulation now have sex at the ovulation, the Y chromosome grows faster than X chromosome. So it's possible. I will always remind you it's a possibility, it's not a guarantee. It's possible that the Y chromosome, because it runs faster than the X chromosome, will go up and ovulate and fertilize the egg before the X chromosome will get there. So that's just the basic techniques around it. In all, you need to know your period very well. I think with that, we've come to an end. I know there will be questions about natural family planning. So, questions?
This is time for questions. If you have anything bothering you, if you have anything you want to know, if you have anything you want her to throw more light on, please do well to come up with such doubts or questions so that it will be tackled amicably that will have the opportunity. Thank you.
Calculations on anything with regards to family planning. While we are talking about our questions, I'm waiting for the questions. It's also very important. I think maybe next time we should invite the men. Because the truth is, this natural family planning cannot be completely effective if the man is not in the knowing. If the man didn't key into it. Okay? It won't be complete. The man cannot want to have sex. And they are telling him, no, maybe you want to look for one excuse. Hey, my body is aching. I just came back from work, from market, from wherever. And you do it this week, you do it next month, you do it. The man will be like, it's like this woman is getting it somewhere. So we need to carry our men along. Yes, these women organization and all. But even now that we finish saying it, you need to go back and download what you plan to your husband so that two of you will plan it. You can't do it alone. There's no way you do natural family planning without carrying the man along. Okay, for example, the withdrawal method is the man that withdraws. It's not you that withdraws. So it's the man that withdraws. And you didn't tell the man, suddenly you tell the man, yeah, he's the one that knows when he's going to ejaculate. It's not even you that knows. So we need to let them know. So as you're going home, please tell your husband what you want so that two of you, family is not, God knows when He brought a man and a woman together. He didn't make man and woman to conceive without a man. There's only one woman that conceived without a man. So, for me and you, we can't conceive without a man, except we want to have another Virgin Mary. Okay? So, in that case, we have to carry the people that lost the job alongside. We need to educate them. We need to let them know that they are needed to plan this family. And it's also important to know that spacing your children, you may not want to stop giving birth yet, but you can't afford to have a child in 3 months after childbirth, you're pregnant again. Yes, it happens. I've seen a lot like that in my practice. 3 months. In fact, the last woman I saw, like how many days ago, she's about to put to birth, but she's still breastfeeding. The other child is not pregnant. So, exactly at her 1 year is when that child will come, as in when she will deliver. So, what do you do to that? That's why it's important. Even if you still want to give birth to other children, then space them so that even you and the children will be comfortable. Your body is not firewood now. You need to rest. Rest from one child before you start another one. It's very important. And for those children to grow up healthy, you need to give them some gap so that you can take care of this one before facing another one. Imagine a woman heavy and breastfeeding. But there's nothing she can do, she just have to take it down. But if she planned it, you should plan it. In this our modern time had gone when the woman will tell you, I didn't know. It's not an excuse. Even though it's not an excuse. You be held responsible. That's why family planning is very important. And let's not talk about the economy. When I don't know how much they say diaper now. I don't know how much. But you are just finishing, in fact, you are still buying diaper for this child, for that child, for that child, only you, none for this person, none for that person, everybody's on none in your house. How much is a container of none? And one will not last for a week. So, I don't know. So it's very important. I met a couple that said, until this regime, we are not going to consider it. Because they planned it. But there are people that regime in or out, they are conceiving and dropping. And they are against it. So please, questions. Okay.
I may not need it, but okay.
Thank you, doctors. You have done a wonderful work here, but I just want to get a little clarification. You made mention of ovulation, and you said if you have a longer period, that you should deduct 18 from the longer period and 11 when you have a shorter period. My question now is, can you not just say, is there not a specific time that, assuming I have a 25 days menstrual period, do I not have a specific time that I can expect my ovulation? Thank you.
Okay, ovulation, menstrual cycle, in most cases, it may vary with 2 or 3 days, and it's normal. That's why that calculation. In most cases, why I didn't say in all cases, in most cases, it may vary with 2-3 days, that could be variation. And when there is such variation, if you're having such variation, you need to make sure that I told you. And it's not, if you subtract 18 days from the short one, not the long one. Yes. Subtract 18 days from the short cycle, and then 11 days from the longest cycle. And whatever you get becomes the expected time you're going to use your window period. Alright, but if you're having 25 days and it's regular, you know that your cycle is 25 days and it's 25 days. Do you understand that? Menstrual cycle it's typically divided into 2. The first part is when you start menstruating. You start menstruating today, that's the first phase of your cycle. You stop menstruating maybe in 3 days, 4 days, as the case may be. Usually, if you menstruate, your duration of menstruation should not last beyond 2 to 8 days. If it's longer than 8 days and you are still menstruating, it's not normal. If you menstruate just a day and that's all, it's not normal. So you should menstruate at least 2 days, between 2 days and 8 days is normal. Do you understand? So when you start menstruating day one, you get to a point, you finish menstruating, you are still on the same phase. You start warming up, the eggs start growing. Normally before a girl child is born, all the eggs and everything is already grown. But they don't all grow at the same time. Each cycle, a set of eggs, set of eggs start growing. So your eggs growing, start growing. And at a point, one grows faster than the other. Or two, for people that may have to eat and all that. So some grow faster than at a point in the period. And as they are growing, they now get to the second phase, to the beginning of second phase, which is ovulation. Immediately ovulation is done, you enter the next phase, the second phase of the cycle. Now, it's been approved scientifically that the second phase of your cycle is 14 days. That second phase is from your ovulation to menstruate. From your ovulation, if I start ovulating today, in 14 days I will menstruate if I don't conceive. Do you understand? So that 14 days is constant. But the days before the ovulation is not constant. That's the one that varies. So that makes the ovulation time to be short or to be long. Because if you are counting from the second phase, then your counting will not be of value to you. Maybe if you start menstruating today, if I start menstruating today, what it means is that 14 days back I ovulated. Do you understand? And what use is it to me? Because it's the ovulation I wanted, but the only way to know is that 14 days back I ovulated. If I'm to be pregnant, I would have been pregnant by then. If I'm not, so be it. Do you understand? So to guess whether your day is going to be shorter, for you that is having 28 days, 25 days cycle, if you minus 14 days from 25, you have 11 days, right? So it's possible, very possible, that your ovulation will be on the 11th day. Now, to give a window, because these are all speculation, to give a window, 2 days into that day and 1 or 2 days away from that day. Do you understand? So if it's a woman that wants to conceive, it's expected that 2 days into that 11th day, you should start having sex. Like, if not every day, every other day, until 2 days after. But if it's a woman that wants to use it as a family as a means of birth control, you should not have sex 2 days to that 11th day and 2 days until 2 days after. Do you understand? That would be 9 to day 13. You should not have sex. Did you get me? Okay, sorry. Because why you should give the window is because the egg after ovulation doesn't die immediately. You need a few days, a day or two to die. And the sperm also need a day or two to die. So if you start having sex 2 days to that day, the sperm may be dead, may remain there until the ovulation. And if you now have sex a day after, the sperm may meet the egg that is still there. So that window will help for the sperm cell or the ovum to have died off. Do you get it?
No, but doctor, please. You get the woman, if you born pikin, you know the physical and necessity, you give your children then you go stop before you go start. Sometimes like this, because the thing happened for me. I born my first child. I just like this, they give am breast. I no see my time to go. I get that another pregnant for the other one for 1 year and 2 months. I rush go meet my people for my village. She say no problem. Say that time I dey carry the knife dey do something. My knife go fit lost. I no dey fit see that my knife. Na that time na my menstruation dey do. Sometimes like this, make I look for my pot, I go take the drink water. That pot I dey take the drink water, e dey like I put 2 block for inside. I say yes. He say I go see the place the water dey for that pot. I say yes. He say na that time my menstruation dey do. Make I no worry, because for me ma the thing happen for my side 2 times. And thank God I born am. The other one na baby boy, the other one na baby boy, the other one na baby girl. Na here they talk say if the person dey do like that, how she go dey do?
Okay, now if I understand her, what she's saying is, if there are people that, for as long as they are breastfeeding, they will not menstruate. Even when they finish exclusive breastfeeding, they have entered, some people breastfeed for the ideal time for breastfeeding is 2 years. I have a pediatrician, that's why I'm working at the back, so that we will train her. The ideal time for breastfeeding is 2 years. So, there are people that as long as they are breastfeeding 2 years, they will not menstruate. And they will conceive in between. So she's asking what do we do to such people? Well, to the scope of this teaching, there's nothing we can do. Because it's beyond the scope of what we are here for. And for what you said happened in the village, well, years back when I was in medical school, the first delivery I witnessed, I'll tell you the story. The first delivery I witnessed, that day I felt so miserable. In fact, we gathered young girls, we were like, what? You mean a woman will go through this? I said, no. In fact, some of us vowed never to marry. Some said, what? They cannot give birth. One matron, she came and scattered us. She was freaking you, stupid children. Your mama born you and they say you give birth and all that, and it was in the east. So what happened to this woman that we saw horrible labor? That labor was her 12th labor. 12 children. 12 to 1. All of them are one pregnancy. It's not as if she had 3-4 children at a time. You see, we are all reacting. So it was her 12th child, 12th labor. And when we entered the labor ward to witness the labor, as our students, the first labor I witnessed, when we entered inside, the woman was pain was in her. Then matron, where is your husband? The husband. And you know, medical people, they don't take it lightly on a pregnancy, 12th pregnancy. So they asked the woman, so why haven't you thought of a family planning that this is your 12th child? And it's not as if you're so wealthy, you have all the money to take care of those children. In fact, the husband is nowhere to be found. They gave him a list of things to buy. And anytime they call him, he said he's in a hold-up. They call him, hey, this hold-up is too much. Fly over hold-up. That hold-up, and all that. You know? So, and that was it. So they asked the woman, so what happened? Why are you not doing family planning? He said, and the husband, and that's why your husband has to do this matter. And the husband said no family planning, nothing, no even natural, nothing. That he found something on the wall. That thing tells him when it's red, there is danger. You see, I heard her saying that blood and water child. I don't relate it well, but he said that thing he hung in their bedroom. He said that whenever it's red, there is danger. When it's not red, maybe it's green, I don't know, that the way he's open, he can make his way. See? And that's this same red thing worked until they got 12 children. You know? So, madam, for the thing that is turning to red, you say something turns red and you stop seeing your knife. Okay, fine. Not a method.
So I will not be even for my thought that the first thing
Okay.
you understand. I don't remember that of the
Okay, so for the slope of how we are learning, if 2 months, 2 years, you are still not menstruating, it's beyond this really, and I won't go beyond that. All right. Any other question?
More questions, please. More questions. Doctor, thank you so much. Doctor, I want to ask if you have something like a chart that can help us to calculate it very well.
Well, I don't have chats, but you can. Maybe somebody can put down the formula and you use your calendar. That's the best. There are apps that you can download that will help you, but most apps, in fact, almost all of them are not correct. Almost all. So they are very predictive. The best is to calculate by yourself. That's the best. But you can use the apps. There are apps that you can download that will help you with your period.
Thank you so much, Doctor. My question goes like this. I have a neighbor in the house. Anytime she wants to see her menses, her breast and nipple used to pain her. Even if she wants to ovulate, her nipple used to pain her. I don't know whether if it is a normal issue or not. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, for some people, they have that as a symptom. When you're menstruating, you have some people pain and fullness, and it also applies for some people during their ovulation. It's normal. But usually after like 2 days or a day after, it will stop. Especially for the menstruation. It's normal. It's normal.
Please, I want to ask for someone that having painful menstruation. Does he have any problem? Whenever the child, the girl wants to see her menstruation, she will be crying, drooling. So I want to ask, does he have any problem?
Yeah, painful menstruation comes in different forms. They are good at from the day one they start menstruating, like they start menstruating and it's been painful all through their life. We call this like the child start menstruating this year. And since this year to whenever she finished, okay, let me say the child started menstruating 10 years ago. And from that 10 years ago, she's been having painful menstruation. From day one of her starting to menstruate, she's been having painful menstruation. Every of her period is usually painful and all that and all that. Some, when they start giving birth, they ease off a bit, some may continue. But there are ones that they were once having a normal period without much pain. Of course, cramps here and there is part of the situation, but not something that will stop you from your activities. So there are people that they've once had a good period without that such pain, but along the way they start having painful menstruation. That one really has to be attention to know the cause of that period becoming painful, even when it wasn't painful before. Alright? Then for the girl child that period started from day one of her starting to menstruate, it has all been painful period. There are things you can do, there are drugs you can take when the period comes. Take the drugs to ease you off, and there are things you can do, warm bath, warm tea, and all that, and medications it will help. But in most cases, for those people that start menstruating with pain as a child, in most cases, when they start giving birth, it may ease off. It may, I said may, I don't think you are sure. It may ease off. It may get better. But if a lady starts, it was normally not that painful, and suddenly becomes very painful, If the cause is not taken care of, it may even get worse. Or may this of when it has caused some damage. And let me use this opportunity to advise us as women. Sometimes we have some issues about our reproductive life, our reproductive system. If you are having vaginal discharge, you know it's very hard to call vagina. If you call vagina, you are wayward. Especially for me, I'm Igbo. If you call it in Igbo language, hey, and you are in Igbo community, they will flog you. And you can't mention to your mother or to anybody that you are having vaginal discharge. That is a taboo. That means you are crazy. And these things, because we don't mention it will follow us into our marriages and has caused damage. And at the end, we are running head-to-head and calling people in the village, calling everybody to come and rescue us. Okay? Now, we are all in the city. We are having children. Your girl child, as well as your boys, how much of their body do they need? If they are having vaginal, if you are having vaginal discharge, you tell them. You know what? There's a woman a few days back. I think she's still on the way. Okay, we discharged her a few days back. She came to the hospital. She's pregnant. She came to the hospital and saw a male doctor. And she was having vaginal discharge and itching. She finished seeing male doctor and went home. Then the next day, she saw me. And she was having fever and other things. And we decided to treat her, to admit her and treat her for malaria. When I was talking about treating her and all that, she said, doctor, I'm having discharge and itching. I said, oh, you were in antenatal last week. She said, yes, she was. When did this discharge start? She said, long ago. I said, but you saw it. He said it was a male doctor. You see? So if she didn't have the privilege to see a female doctor, she would be with her vaginal discharge. Even in pregnancy, that will affect the child. So what am I saying? That you have a vaginal discharge is not a taboo. And can be taken care of only if you approach the right person. Do you understand? It's not, because at the end, it will follow us through our life and affect our reproductive side life and all that. So, let's talk about vagina, especially with your male child, with your female child. A child is how old? And he's telling you that vagina is painful. Is an aberration. It's not correct. I think I'm going out of this one.
No, continue.
So, a child, you know, there was a time that they had to call me to come and see a child that was simply explaining to the mother that somebody cleaned her anus after peeing. But the mother didn't teach her that there is vagina and there is anus. Everything is normal. Here is normal, there is normal. And when the child said that somebody touched my bum, the mother took it that she was sexually harassed. And carried the school from psychiatrist to chemical to that. They were going from one hospital to another. So what am I saying? Tell yourself first, anytime you're having anything related to your vagina, whether it's discharge, whether it's itching, whether it's, for some of us that entered, I'm not saying anybody entering menopause. Okay, if you have anybody that entered menopause and she starts bleeding suddenly, she should be able to say, because the earlier you say some of these things, the better. If you start having discharge, that is, you know that is abnormal, you should say it. The earlier you say it, don't wait till it's 2 years ago. You will now say that you are having discharge. You're having itching. The woman said she itch and itch and itch. She moved herself and all that. And she's still working with it. I've met doctors for some days. So we should be able to say where it pains us. Your vagina is part of your body, just like your hand is part of your body. And if it has problems, say it. Nobody will beat you. No doctor records you and your complaint. And of course, there are things that can cause that. There are things that even normal that can cause that. It's just the ability to treat it. And for our dear children, learn to teach them this is vagina. Don't tell her bongo. There's nothing like bongo. There's no English word like bongo. There's no English word like bongo. Tell her that this is vagina. That's what it is. And this is anus. So that tomorrow somebody touch her vagina, you come and tell you, somebody touched my vagina. And you will know it from the one that somebody touched her vagina, not bongo. Alright, sorry. Question.
Doctor, I have a woman that's born 5 children. Because it's 4 months now she's not supposed to see her menstruation. And she's not pregnant.
She's not seeing her menstruation.
Yes.
Is she breastfeeding?
No.
Okay. I think family planning. Okay, I think the battery is down. So, if she has not seen her period, there are things that will make a woman not to see her period. Okay, there are a lot of medical reasons why a woman starts seeing period at a point, stop seeing it, or pause for a while. There are many. Of course, important that you said she's not pregnant, because pregnant is number one thing that you have to be sure the woman is not. What you said, but there are a lot of there are vast things. And for a woman that is about to enter menopause, there are times that it will go up and down, and other reasons. There are plenty reasons. So my advice for her is to meet her gynecologist so that they will find out why she's not menstruating. Could it be that there is a problem? Could it be that it's a natural way that menopause is trying to come in? Could be anything. I think our mic will
Yes, so doctor, you have really done justice. We thank you immensely for your time. We thank you for the commitment. I think next time when we're going to have a session like this, it should be out of our meeting day, so that we'll have a good time to ask questions, and it will now be for the interested people, because some of us don't need the lecture and you see them walking away. So we will plan it better next time, please, and it's going to be out of our meeting day. So we thank and appreciate you very much for coming. Thank you, doctors. Thank you.